And I'll now pass the chair to Jeff Hart for the second part of this session, Meet the Ambassadors, Part 1. Would you please welcome Jeff?
Jeff Hart, and we're joining you from the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade in Canberra to present the Meet the African Heads of Mission segment of Africa Down Under. Paydirt Media wishes to acknowledge DFAT's support in the facilitation of this programming. This element of the ADU program parallels the Meet the Australian Homs to be streamed into Perth. Both segments aim to give members of the Australian mining community an opportunity to get to know those diplomatic representatives from their countries of interest. All of us here in Canberra today are sorry that we will not be able to join you in person in Perth for the 2020 ADU conference. In this first session, I have with me the High Commissioner of Mauritius, Her Excellency Mrs. Monty, the High Commissioner of South Africa, His Excellency Mr. Marthinus and Schalkwyk, the Ambassador of Zimbabwe, Mr. Joe Mhishi. And I would ask if the High Commissioner of Mauritius might now speak.
Thank you. So let me start by greeting each and everyone who would be watching this conference and greet as well all those around the table, my colleagues. So let me start by introducing myself. I'm Mary Claire Monty from Mauritius, the newly appointed ambassador this year to Australia. And I'd like to stress that I came here in exceptional circumstances. That is 1.5 hours before confinement starts. And we are again functioning in exceptional circumstances. That is, we are having this long-awaited conference now virtually. So I'm pleased to be part of this ambassadors platform to participate in this Down Under conference. So let me thank DFAT for hosting this virtual conference and thank as well our colleague from Paydirt Media to have organized it and all the organizers to have made it possible. Let me at the outset highlight that there is a triangular relationship between Mauritius, Australia, and Africa, which dates up to the 19th century. And it's the occasion as well for me to say that we are celebrating Mauritius and Australia, our 50th anniversary this year of our bilateral relationship. So this relationship has blossomed and we need really to move this further. Now is the time to adapt this relationship to new exigencies, to new realities, and to the current needs for growth and sustainable development. The recent COVID-19 pandemic has taught us the way forward, that the way we have been living of our life will no longer be, and that we must conduct businesses not as in the past, but that new avenues should be explored. We're now living in a digital universe, which is a whole new reality. And we need to adapt to this, what we call a new normal. Please allow me to congratulate the Australian government for the innovative measures to reinvigorate the Australian economy in a post-COVID era. You will concur that we have now ushered in an era of increasing economic uncertainty, which underscore the importance of building resilience, not only to address the known, but the known unknowns and the unknowns unknowns. So in this period of uncertainty, we should all try to access new opportunities in emerging markets to secure economic resilience. We must admit that the African continent is displaying blooming, and economic growth. And this could represent significant opportunities to Australian businesses as an emerging market. I humbly believe that this could be done once trade relationships and economic cooperation framework between Australia and African countries are institutionalized. This would be surely achieved through bilateral arrangements. In Mauritius, we do not have any mining activities, but we have expertise and unique advantage in the international financial services sector. Mauritius has also been playing a key role in facilitating investments in Africa. It is estimated that there are 100 Australian companies on the stock exchange, mining companies, already using the Mauritian platform, that's Mauritian jurisdiction for their cross-border investments into Africa, of course. There are also a number of Australian companies operating in Mauritius, like Curtin University, Austral Fisheries, which is a testimony of our good business environment in Mauritius. I wish to invite, through this platform, Australian companies to look at Africa with new eyes, with new lenses, and to adjust its vision towards the African continent, naturally for trade and investment cooperations. We believe that there is room, of course, for improvement, for efforts to develop that solid relationship, the solid foundations for an enduring economic partnership between Australia and Africa. And in forging those new arrangements, Mauritius can be truly a key player and play a key role in that partnership, naturally for Australian businesses. I'm very proud also to say that Mauritius is part of Africa, and we are proud of it. We have been a founding member of the African Union, and we are also a member of SADC, of COMESA. We are also actively engaged in the negotiations and modalities for a continental free trade agreement, the CFTA. This will be a single African market for the elimination of barriers in trade for goods and services. We remember 1 billion people and a total GDP of over 3 trillion American dollars, practically at your doorstep. Australia can now engage constructively with African countries to seize the numerous untapped trade and investment opportunities available in Africa. Mauritius offers a conducive business environment, and it is a jurisdiction of choice for firms wanting to do businesses around the world. The political and economic stability of our country, with sound diplomatic principle based on independence of the judiciary and the rule of law, comforts the investors while offering them the advantage of various multilateral and bilateral treaties to which Mauritius is a party. We also offer a number of products and services, such as banking and insurance, cross-border investments and services, listing as capital raising support and professional services. In addition to that, we offer flexible rates, flexible rules for specialist debt instruments for junior mining early exploration companies in Australia. So let me now pass on to while we focus on ways and means to forge a state-of-art relationship between Australia and Mauritius, we should also focus on the need to strengthen people-to-people relationship between Australia and Africa. And we really and firmly believe that this movement of business community is essential to forge and instill this people-to-people relationship. Really, once these travel restrictions, are lifted. I was made to understand that my colleagues from the Africa group of ambassadors have raised the difficulties encountered by the business community to obtain a business visa for travel to Australia. I therefore look forward to new avenues of cooperation, to further discussions with our colleagues from the DFAT and the Department of Home Affairs to help with that issue. And I am really nearing the end of my intervention today, and I'd like to thank all the organizers, to thank my colleagues present here, and to express my wish, the wish of my country, to further our relationship and consolidate our already existing solid relationship with Australia and our colleagues in Africa. On this note, I wish to thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, High Commissioner Monty.
Thank you.
High Commissioner Schalkwyk.
Thank you, Jeff. I would like to thank and congratulate Bill Redpath for once again organizing the ADU, even if it is in this format, which is perfectly understandable in these difficult times. Thank you to Jeff for facilitating this session, and it's an honor to share in the panel with my two colleagues. South Africa is a country of 60 million people. It's a G20 country. It's a member of BRICS. In terms of the mining industry, mining is a key part of our economic infrastructure in South Africa, along with the other subsectors, agriculture, manufacture, and tourism. Mining contributes around 9% to our GDP in South Africa, so clearly a key component. 500,000 jobs are being created by the mining industry in South Africa. Annually, we export mineral sales of around 360 billion South African rand. It's about 10 South African rand to the Australian dollar. South Africa is a mining country, like Australia is a mining country. There are quite a number of Australian mining companies very active in South Africa: BHP, Rio Tinto, South32, a number of others. There are South African mining companies active in Australia, and we also see a huge exchange of senior executives between Australia and South Africa. In terms of South Africa being a mineral-rich country, it's coal, gold, the PGM group of metals, iron ore, manganese, chrome ore, gold, diamonds. That is what South Africa offers. So we understand how important it is to nurture this industry, to encourage investments, to invite people to become part of our success in South Africa. In terms of the political landscape in South Africa, obviously, the first point and port of call is the mining department, which is the key department in our country. But the other key players is the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, Invest South Africa, which is the one-stop facility assisting potential investors into the country. And then, very importantly, the organization representing the private sector in South Africa. Historically, it has been called the Chamber of Mines, like it is and was probably in most mining countries all over the world. Nowadays, we call it the Mineral Council. The Mineral Council is a very professional, very active organization representing the mining companies. And they have an open door to government, and they are a key partner in ensuring that we achieve success in the mining industry. Because of our history in South Africa, the mining industry was dominated by a few major companies. We very consciously went into a process of deconcentrating the ownership of mining in South Africa. We changed the rights structure and the allocation of rights, and we are very happy to say that we've seen huge success in terms of making sure that there are many more players on the mining scene in South Africa. There are more than 50 members of the Mineral Council at the moment, many of them medium to smaller players, which in our case is quite important. In terms of the future, although in South Africa we understand how important it is to have labor-intensive companies providing jobs to many of our people who are unemployed, we also understand that technological research and development is crucial for the success of the mining industry. I earlier said we have 500,000 workers in the mining industry in South Africa. And of course, we also always want to ensure that the mining industry continue to ensure that it provides jobs to our people. But we understand that if we really want to unlock the mineral potential in our country, we have to look at new developments like artificial intelligence, deep level remote mining with skilled operators, so that miners don't have to go down that deep into our mines. So we have a number of very exciting initiatives in that regard. So Jeff, I think let me stop there. I know you want to ask some follow-up questions, and I'd rather deal with the detail during your questions.
Thank you very much, Marthinus. So, Ambassador Mhishi, if you want to.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff, for making this panel discussion possible, and I thank DFAT also for hosting this event, which fits into the most important activity on the calendar for some of us from Africa, namely the Africa Down Under, held annually in Perth. And it is my privilege and honor to be able to share the situation in Zimbabwe regarding the mining sector. Mining is a major attraction in Zimbabwe with over 60 internationally tradable minerals, and only 10 of these are being fully mined, which points at the importance of Australian mining sector investors embarking on greenfields investments in Zimbabwe in the mining sector. Zimbabwe's 800 mines have a potential to produce as much as $18 billion every year from the mining sector. However, since 2009, that sector has been producing on an annual basis $2 billion. Again, this is just a tenth of the potential that the country has, and it shows the immense potential for investment from Australian investors with interest in the mining sector. Then we have a national mining production target. As government focuses on turning Zimbabwe into an upper middle income country by 2030, we have a focus of creating a 12 billion exports in the mining sector from the year 2023. This is based on greenfield investments and expansion work on some of the existing mining projects, the brownfield investments, that is. By 2030, on the government's work program is creating a mining sector that is 20 billion worth. In terms of foreign ownership, foreign investors are allowed to own 100% shareholding for mining operations in all other minerals except for platinum and gold and diamonds, for which the foreign investors will be required to enter into joint ownership with the government on a 49-51% basis in favor of government. 4 ways of owning mining industry assets in Zimbabwe are mining claim, special mining grant, we have mining lease, and special mining lease. Recently, the government of Zimbabwe adopted a policy, use it or lose it. This policy was adopted as the government tries to increase the contribution of the mining sector into the overall GDP of the country. And this policy forces companies that are holding mining claims to use those resources, the assets that they're holding onto. It had been established that a number of individuals and companies that hold these claims or concessions actually do not have the capacity to put them into productive use. And so the government has noticed the effect that we have other people holding claims dating as far back as the 1950s and 1960s. And so the Minerals Marketing Act of Zimbabwe empowers government to repossess those mining claims that are not put into use. This is to prevent people holding for speculative purposes a very important national asset. Now, two other issues I need to put on record is the area of energy, which as some of you may know, in the last year, Zimbabwe has been confronting the challenge of inadequate energy provision. And I'm glad to report that as of now, that issue has been addressed and Zimbabwe has come out of the load shedding mode. And further to that is the question of new projects being carried out, which will see Zimbabwe as early as 23 becoming a net energy exporter. And then lastly is the issue of foreign currency availability in terms of dividend and capital remittance. To put on record that as recently as the 20th of September, the finance minister in Zimbabwe, having examined the financial sector in the country, reached the conclusion that Zimbabwe does not have a foreign currency shortage or crisis as such, but the challenge is how to distribute the available foreign currency through the formal sector of the economy. And this issue since June this year has been addressed, among other measures, through the auction system, where bids can be placed by entrepreneurs or companies on the auction floor and bid, and on a daily basis they are allowed to bid between 50,000 and 500,000 US dollars. And also to mention that Zimbabwe's laws allows for 100% remittance of dividends, profits, and capital. Lastly, I would like to invite potential investors from Australia to mount with me an exploration mission to Zimbabwe once the COVID pandemic environment permits. And in this regard, to say that Zimbabwe has been fortunate on a comparative basis in terms of the COVID pandemic, in that as late as yesterday, we had the numbers of infected standing at 8,224, and recovery is at 7,742, and 236 regrettable deaths. This is as of yesterday. And so the future post-COVID is bright, and I would want to invite potential Australian investors to embark on a mission to Zimbabwe to find for themselves what the country offers. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I did have a couple of questions, and what I'd like to do is to join them together, and I'd like to suggest that we might go around the table in the opposite direction. We'll start with you, High Commissioner. So the mining relationship with Australia and your country's attitude to foreign investment that changes over time, if you'd like to make a comment on those two elements.
The mining links between Australia and South Africa are very strong. As I said, a number of your strongest mining companies active in South Africa, BHP, Billiton, South 32, a number of others. South African mining companies active here, but also good exchange at senior executive level, well, also middle management level between South Africa and Australia. And people find the business environment very similar. In terms of encouraging investment, our president started an investment drive 3 years ago. A number of Australian companies, mining and non-mining companies, invested in South Africa and are still on the potential investor list. So from our point of view, we go out of our way to ensure that we assist them as best as we can. We have Invest South Africa, the one-stop facility that assists potential investors. There are a number of incentive schemes that people will have access to or may have access to that is available. But I think, there's an elephant in the room that we must address. We've had COVID since the beginning of the year. So all our countries changed. Australia changed, South Africa changed, European countries changed. So it's a changed landscape. And in South Africa, the changed landscape comes in the form of huge unemployment. Already before COVID, we had unemployment of, depending on the definition, between 25 and 29%. The prediction are that we are now entering a phase of around 42% unemployment in South Africa. And as a government and as major companies in the private sector, we understand that we must put in an extra effort to ensure that we put people back in jobs.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Ambassador Mhishi, would you like to comment on either of those points? So where the question of mining relationship or foreign investment, you touched on them, I know, in your presentation, but have you any other comments you'd like to make?
Well, I would like to say, given Australia's vast experience in the mining sector and its capacity, really their involvement in Zimbabwe is marginal. And that Australia really, when I view them as a giant in the mining industry who's sitting on the fence. And it's high time they should now change and refocus on doing business in Zimbabwe because we have the natural resources endowment that could be of benefit to both Australia and to Zimbabwe. And like I've already said that, I congratulate those that have taken the lead from Australia to do business, and the government in Zimbabwe, mindful also of the need to attract foreign investors, including those from Australia, has so far been, adopting policy reforms to answer to the needs of the investors, so that, we have an investment regime that matches the best in the world. But of course, this is a process, and this is why precisely there's this mechanism for consultation on every 2 weeks, because you don't want to upset your investor. You do not want to upset an industry that has got a critical role in your economy. So I would like to say, Australians, is a come off the fence and be active player in Zimbabwe like other countries are doing. So that could be all I could say. I hope Africa Down Under is an opportunity for the Australians, those in the mining industry, also to benefit when the minister also get involved in this dialogue in 4 to 6 November. I thank you.
Thank you very much. High Commissioner Monty, are there any other points you might like to make on these issues?
Thank you. So I've stressed on a few facilities of Mauritius, though we do not have as such mining activities, but we have strong financial facilities which we offer to companies, which we can offer. We have trans-border facilities for investment. And one thing I'd like to stress upon is the recent institution of the Mining and Energy Club, which we call the MEC, and which offers that platform for emerging mining industries. And as also, Mauritius offers the mining policy law education services for emerging and mining industries. And one last thing, because all others I've mentioned during my expose, are the banking facilities for junior mining companies. That's what I had to add, apart from what I've already stressed upon in my expose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that will finish this session. I'd like to thank you all very much for your contributions and participation, and look forward to your interaction during